Uh, Issues that regard America's economic growth and prosperity. The more economic prosperity we have, the longer we live, the more opportunities we have. I am mostly aligned with the Republican Party because I support a lot of their stances on political growth and incentives for growing small businesses.
What do you think about the Green Party?
I think the Green Party has a lot of strengths in terms of diversifying political parties, although I don't think it's going to be a very effective use of your democracy. I'm definitely more pessimistic because of the concept of there being political agendas being pushed by people who have all the power. Although I am pessimistic, I would say I'm pessimistic to a mild stance. I'm not a doomsday whistleblower. I believe in the idea of being pro-choice. I think that a lot of women miss out on a lot of opportunities to advance their careers and set aside a good life for themselves by going to college and working up the ladder in their jobs. I think a lot of that, they miss out on a lot of those opportunities because they had an unexpected kid, or even with someone who they do not want to have a kid with. I think it should be a woman's choice to be able to decide.
Do you think this belief is one of the ones that
separates me from
the right-leaning?
Yes, definitely. I have a lot of conservative views, although I definitely believe in this one, which has a more liberal kind of. A lot of liberals believe in pro-choice as well. An unpopular belief, I would say, would be I believe that drone strikes are not all bad. Drone strikes actually decrease the casualties from our U.S. troops by huge margins. And I believe that a lot of the data in terms of how effective drone strikes are very skewed from political motives. Drone strikes have saved a lot of lives. A lot of U.S. soldiers and their lives have been saved because of drone strikes. And I think a lot of the negative attention are given to drone strikes because of very minute circumstances that happen that are very unique, that are not very common.
Is this a right-leaning or left-leaning belief?
I don't know, because I know that Hillary Clinton's had a lot to do with as far as I know, she's had a lot to do with increasing the amount of drone operations, and I think that was a good idea on her end. I think that Secretary Clinton made the right choice. I like to consume alternative sources of media, ones that tend to not have really any political convictions aside which side they're on. They're just more concerned about spreading information. To be more specific, I really am interested in WikiLeaks. WikiLeaks tends to not try to side with any side. They just try to leak documents that normally has a lot of red tape put on it, that maybe red tape for political reasons, but just to try and increase the information that to try and increase the amount of informed citizens there are that are voting.
So more of like a non-biased, just straight to the point.
Non-biased,
Facts.
also sources that kind of tend to be, more like, oh, these are leaked documents. These are ones that sources of information that you normally wouldn't have access to. That try to increase how much information the public has, because there's a lot of information that's kept out of the public's eye. Sources of information that tend to be they don't have a serious conviction on who they're supporting. There's a lot of sources that they're trying to increase the rhetoric, not really spread information. So whatever sources there are that are trying to increase what knowledge hold scientific curiosity as the higher truth, and not for political motives, I think those are the types of sources that I favor.
Is it safe to assume that these sources of information are what you consume the most often through media
I
and
consume
stuff?
both. I like to consume both sides. Left, right, in the middle, non-biased sources. I like to see the whole picture. What's most influential would be political issues that have to do with economic growth in America and financial prosperity, and whatever can boost the American economy. think America's role should be the strongest country there is. I think that America needs to have the position of being the leader in the world, definitely, because we tend to have the most balanced, the most informative positions, the most reasonable. People here aren't getting shot, and executed in public squares. There's no, slavery isn't legal here. There's a lot of crazy social norms that exist outside of the American bubble that are like unbelievable that they still exist. And America has a focus of being, people have rights. People should have good lives. There should be general prosperity for all. I think that America has the best set of values by that standard, and that we should be the strongest continent, that we should be the most powerful continent, and because whoever has the values that it can increase the general well-being of each person should have the most power. I think over time the whole, either red or blue dynamic is going to eventually fade away. I think that this last election, you could make a lot of arguments that Donald Trump was not a very Republican candidate. As a matter of fact, he had a lot of liberal viewpoints. There were a lot of people who were Democrat who supported Donald Trump, and there were a lot of people who were Republican who supported Hillary Clinton. So there was a lot of mix and matchups there. You hear the word populist leader, which means that what the people decided, not really in terms of if they're trying to vote for their assigned party, which is whoever they think is right. I think was kind of transcended into the bipartisan political system this last election, and because of that, I think that we're tending to drift away towards the whole red or blue system.
So in other words, you think the red and blue America might soon turn into one purplish?
Definitely. I think we're going to start seeing candidates that are typically not so predictable. I think we're going to start having candidates for each side of the party that might have, more diversified views, more, like I said, less predictable. They might have a mix and match. It's going to be whoever's right.